Hey guys, Weeby News here, and today we are back with yet another video. And today I'm going to be ranking all of the Hazbin Hotel songs from the first season of the show. So obviously this list is just going to be my opinion, but I will do my best to kind of like analyze each song and like how I feel like it was used to tell the story in Hazbin Hotel and how effective I felt like they used it. So I will be taking those types of things into consideration as well when I'm ranking these. But yeah, overall I'm super excited to talk about these. I have been really into this soundtrack ever since I finished the show. I've been listening to these songs non-stop. It's completely gonna ruin my YouTube music Wrapped. I just know my Wrapped is gonna be all Hazbin. I'm expecting it at this point. But yeah, please do be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you do enjoy these videos. That kind of stuff does help me out a lot. And yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into this. Okay, and so of course these are the tiers that I have. I feel like they're pretty self-explanatory for the most part. Favorite songs, obviously my favorites. Certified bangers. Honestly, this section's probably songs that in my opinion are just as good as the ones I put into favorite, but I may not have gotten like quite as addicted to them. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I think my main personal bias is going to lie in this video. And then every other category I feel like is pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, let's get into this. Okay, first up is Happy Day in Hell by Charlie. I feel like the song not only does a good job of establishing hell as the setting, but I think it also does a really good job of showing Charlie's personality. And of course, how the setting and her personality sort of clash. I feel like seeing how the two clash really shows kind of like the show's sense of humor too. It was definitely kind of what got me into it because it was just so kind of like captivating, you know, to see Charlie dancing around like a Disney princess, walking by cannibals who are eating brains out of somebody's head. Or, you know, Charlie twirling around this guy who just got murdered and was definitely previously delivering drugs before that. I feel like the huge contrast between the two was just really funny. But I think the song also really got me to care about Charlie very quickly, especially before, you know, you really need to when she gets confronted by Adam in the next song. Because in this song you see that Charlie is just so sweet. She's kind of delulu, but she's also just such a kind-hearted person. She cares so much about the citizens of hell, regardless of how bad they treat her and how, you know, bad the environment of it is. And I feel like that makes her a very endearing character. And I think the song does a really good job of establishing that about her before you get to the next part, which, like I said, you need to kind of like root for her there. Also, another kind of cool part about this song in hindsight is the part where Vaggie is like warning Charlie about the angels and her lines. Especially like now knowing like, oh, she actually, you know, used to be an angel and was really closely associated with them for a while. So she knows exactly what Charlie's gonna be dealing with. She might even kind of have an idea that like, oh God, Charlie's probably gonna have to meet up with Adam, my old boss, that douche. I know she was just like, damn it. She was like, please, Charlie, don't go see him, Charlie. He's the worst. But yeah, I think the song is really good. I'm gonna put it in great category. Okay, next up is Hell is Forever by our boy Adam. I'm not gonna lie, I fucking love this song. This is literally one of my favorite songs of the show. I've listened to it so many times. It's honestly criminal how many times I've listened to the song. I will say I probably am a bit biased because I love villain songs. I feel like villain songs tend to be my favorite as well. And I guess it's kind of being like the first villain song too. I feel like, you know, it really needs to make an impression. It really needs to show like how high the stakes are. And I think the song does such a freaking good job at that. I'm sure this isn't the case for everybody, but in my opinion, I feel like stories are only as good as their villains are. And Adam's not like a deep villain by any mean, at least not yet. He hasn't been really like fleshed out in that regard, but he's just like such a fun character to hate. You know what I mean? Like, I love hating him so much. That was probably one of my favorite things about this last season, just hating on Adam. Alex Bryman just kills it as Adam too. Like, I think one of the reasons Adam is so fun to hate is because of Alex's performance. Like, he is just so funny. Like, whenever I'm listening to this song, I feel like I always have to like, I don't know, do like kind of like the emotes that he does, like cross the pearly gates. Like he just puts so much emotion and fun into like the lines he delivers. It makes it such a fun freaking song. I think it kind of does a good job of like setting the show's tone too, because he definitely is like an actual real threat. I mean, he literally commits genocide on Charlie's people. The stakes are very high. He is extremely dangerous, but he's also just like this like unapologetic douchebag. I feel like they make him too real. He's like a nightmare Tinder date, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've probably gone on a Tinder date with a dude like Adam. And it like triggers me back to that moment whenever I see him on screen. I'm like, oh no, 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 no. We're not going back there. He's perfect to be like the first sort of like leader that you see from Heaven in the show. Cause like his existence just immediately shows how hypocritical Heaven's rules are. Cause like if somebody like him is able to not only stay in Heaven, but also like be ranked so high and have so much power there, like it really just shows like, okay, maybe Heaven's rules aren't that great. Maybe they are kind of hypocritical. Like literally in the song, he just straight up admits that one of the reasons they do the extermination is just for entertainment. He just thinks it's fun. And he just like admits it so bluntly without even like an ounce of shame. And then the fact too that while he's saying this, he's like walking down heavenly clouds and like holding his hands like he's giving a sermon or something. It really just seems to emphasize the sort of like hypocriticalness of Heaven, like all this horrible stuff being spewed, but with this heavenly, holy imagery. I think it really does a good job of that. I feel like the song really makes you want to root for Charlie too, because like I said, in the last song, we established Charlie's personality. She's sweet, she's kind, she's caring, especially for her people who really do not appreciate her enough. And then she has to deal with this clown. You know what I mean? Like, it really motivated me to root for her and like care about her a lot. I think both of these songs, especially together, do a really good job of like establishing the world and the conflict. And also it announces the 6-month deadline in a really cool, epic way. I'm a big fan of having like big plot points dropped in songs, so I really appreciated that too. So yeah, this is one of my favorites. Also, I do want to say, hating Adam was my entire personality while watching the show and reacting to it. But I gotta say, I actually do kind of want him to come back as a sinner. I've seen that theory kind of floating around, and it was actually one of the things I was thinking of when I was editing my reaction to the final episode too. I think it would be really interesting for him to come back and maybe even get some redemption. Yeah, maybe in the future I'll make a video discussing that theory and why I like it. Next up is Stayed Gone, and this one is also one of my favorites too, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, not every song is my favorite. I know so far that's what it's looking like. It just so happens that 2 of my favorites are right back to back. This song made me love Vox so much, especially Vox and Alistair's dynamic. It's just so fun. I really hope we get to see more of it in season 2. But going back to Vox, he's just so pitiful. It's just so funny to me. He's like this great big overlord, and right before the song it's like established that he's like this huge deal in hell, but he's just like so easily shaken by his senpai Alistair not noticing him and not caring about him. The song is so good at establishing both of their personalities. Like it starts off with Vox, you know, he's delivering the news. He has to get ahead of the story that Alistair is back to like control the narrative, and then he's like singing really fast. He's like, top of the hour, anybody care, anybody miss him, I don't know, I didn't care. I feel like what they were trying to portray with this is kind of like when you feel really passionate but like very nervous about something, so you're talking really fast about it because you feel so passionate about it, but you're also talking really fast because you don't want anybody to like interrupt or disagree with what you're saying. And like also when he's on screen too, he's just doing like so much to keep viewers engaged. He's hosting the news, now he's hosting a talk show, now he's doing a cooking show, now he's on vacation, now he's doing an obey and pay. Like he's just constantly switching it up and changing formats, and I feel like that really kind of like shows the insecurity that he has, like how he has to keep changing formats because he thinks like that's what he has to do in order to keep people engaged. One of my favorite, and I feel like kind of underappreciated parts about this song is how much you can tell the other Vs just like do not care about their beef at all. And that aspect just makes Vox look even more insecure. Okay, there's this one line when he's like, hell's been better since he split, where's he been, who gives a shit? And you can tell like the Vs just don't care. They just like, who are we talking about again? And then Vox, you can see like the pain in his eyes. It's like, yeah guys, who cares? Not me, I don't care where he's been. The pain in his face and the nervous laughing he does, like you can tell he just cares so much. And then of course in contrast you have Alistair's part where he just like reads him to filth, man. Like everything I mentioned that Vox did that showed that he was insecure, Alistair calls it out, he clocks it. Is Vox insecure, pursuing allure, flitting between this fad and that, is nothing working? Every day he's got a new format. Him saying that after Vox has just shifted through like 10 different genres is just perfect. Like he just completely gags him. Like he just crushes him so bad. And you can just see Vox is getting so mad. He's like, oh my god, he knows! He knows how insecure I am! It's just the song is so masterfully done when it comes to that. And then of course we see that Alistair's not really doing like anything. Like he's just talking to a mic, but still he steals all of Vox's viewers like almost immediately. And it really just shows that like there's not really a competition between the two. And it really makes me feel for Vox, you know? Like I said, he's kind of pitiful, and that's why I love him. But overall, this dynamic that they have, their rivalry, I guess if you could even call it that, since it is kind of mostly just Alistair curb stomping Vox at every chance that he can get. But yeah, whatever they got going on, it's super duper fun in my opinion, and I think this song does a perfect job of just kind of like showcasing it, and that is why it is one of my favorites. Okay, next up is It Starts With Sorry. So a trend you're gonna see with this tier list is that I am not really a slow song girly. I don't dislike them or anything, but I generally do like upbeat songs a lot more. I do want to say I don't dislike this song. It's just that it doesn't really stand out as much compared to all the other songs in the soundtrack. It's very slow and it's very short. I thought it was really cute when I watched it. I loved seeing Pinchas be so dramatic. And I do see what they were going for with the song too. Pinchas is like the first demon we really see them recruit on screen. So I think having a whole song dedicated to recruiting him makes sense story-wise. It also does do a good job of showing Charlie's ideology about forgiveness and how she believes that, you know, every sinner can be redeemed. I do feel like it does kind of hit different too after seeing the finale as well, considering that Pinchas is the first success story of the hotel as well. You know, his story started out with sorry, and he actually completes his journey successfully by the end of the season. And I think that's pretty beautiful. So I think it does do a good job like serving its purpose in the show. It's just not a banger, you know, I'm not going back and re-listening to it. I can't shake my ass to it, and unfortunately that is a pretty big deciding factor for my ranking. Originally I was actually thinking about putting this in the so-so tier, but I feel like considering Pinchas's ending and kind of like, I don't know, how this song sort of does hit different, I feel like after you complete the show, I'm gonna put it in good. I think, you know, like I said, it serves its purpose. Next up is Respectless, and here's a song you can shake your ass to. Respectlessly. Velvet just ate this song up. I actually do really like Carmilla's part too, and I think it is a little underrated, just how I've seen kind of like the fandom talk about it. But Velvet obviously is the star of the song. So she's played by Lily Cooper, who I was not very familiar with, but Lily Cooper actually played Sandy Cheeks on Broadway, which is such a slay. Like, how iconic is that? I really need to look into SpongeBob the musical. I haven't looked into it too much. I honestly think her performance in Hazbin might get me to check it out. She single-handedly is gonna get the SpongeBob musical on my YouTube Wrapped. Another thing is the actress is not British either. She's just really good at holding that accent. And I feel like holding that accent that well while singing is just super impressive. So many of Velvet's lines just like scratch my brain so right. Like when she says hashtag bitch, I feel like that's such an easy line to just be kind of like, I'm that hashtag bitch and I will do. But she really like just hits it. She enunciates it so harshly, and you can tell like she really believes she's that bitch. I feel like you can tell that the actress really analyzed the character of Velvet and decided like, who is this character? What does she think about herself, the world around her? And basically said like, taking all that information into consideration, how would Velvet deliver these lines? Like, what does she think about herself? She believes she's that hashtag bitch, and that's why she hits that line so hard, and it makes me believe it, an audience member. And another line that I just really love from the song is the, and I will do nothing less than what I please. Woo, I'm the backbone of the V's. It's just so freaking good, especially the visuals there with her like in the shadows with like the social media posts surrounding her. It really does portray this idea of her like in the shadows, kind of like controlling the narrative of the V's. Because at first I kind of thought she was maybe more of like a sidekick, but I feel like that line really does kind of show her sort of like dynamic with the V's and her importance. And I think that was really important to establish, considering we don't really get to see a whole lot of screen time of her. I really like the contrast between the two characters' parts in this song as well. I like how Carmilla's part is very like slow and kind of steady. And I like how it sounds like she's accompanied by a Mexican abuela. And from what I've researched, it was used for mariachi music and originates all the way back to at least the 18th century. So I feel like her lines and accompaniment kind of show how she's a more older and traditional person, and it really reflects that part of her personality. And then same with Velvet. Her accompaniment is very like pop inspired and very like punchy. And then a lot of her lyrics are very modern pop culture inspired, like her talking about swiping left and right, referring to Tinder, or like hashtags like Twitter. She just used a lot of very like modern language. And I think that was also meant to showcase her personality and like the contrast between them. So I think the song does a really good job of that. So yeah, with that being said, I was really kind of torn between putting this in favorite or certified banger, because I do really like this song. I listen to it all the time, but I kind of want to limit the favorites section to just like my top like 3 or 4 songs. So I think I'm gonna put it in certified banger. I still like it almost as much as these other two. I think there's just a few others that maybe like hit me a bit harder, like emotionally. Next up is Whatever It Takes, and this one was a duet between Carmilla and Vaggie. Something I've noticed about Hazbin Hotel is that it uses music very strategically. Music is very powerful. It can portray emotions in ways that words just can't. And I think for a show like Hazbin that has a very short runtime, it's super important for it to use music to make the emotional parts hit harder and quicker. And I think this song is a good example of this, because this song uses both Carmilla's words and composition to kind of like showcase her personality and why you should sympathize with her. And I think it does a pretty good job of getting you to like her and understand her sort of like perspective pretty quickly. I like how the song starts out very slow and somber when she's singing about her indecision, but then it picks up with some heavy guitars once she starts singing about the war. I feel like those heavy guitars can kind of symbolize a lot. I feel like firstly it kind of shows like the heaviness of the burden she's carrying, knowing the secret, but I feel like it also kind of emphasizes like the heaviness of war and the situation that's going on. And so I really enjoy that part especially. I like how it's a duet with Vaggie too. It definitely shows the connection that they have, since they both have someone that they love and are willing to do anything for. It also foreshadows their future relationship as student-teacher and how they're literally both going to be fighting for love later in the season. One of Vaggie's lines in this song I really love too. She sings, "When I saw your face, you made me feel like a stranger in a brand new place." I feel like this line hits so much harder knowing that it's like literal, since she was a fallen angel and right after she was just tormented by Adam and Luke, Charlie literally came up and saved her and kind of showed her around this new place and made her feel safe. And I think that part of the song's really sweet and really fun to kind of look back on. But yeah, overall, I do think it's a pretty solid song. I do think it's very necessary, especially for Carmilla's character, because she really didn't get very much screen time at all. And I feel like without this song, it would have been really hard to kind of like understand her perspective, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna put the song in good. Next up is Poison, and yeah, this is the really tough one to talk about. The episode it appears in deals with some very sensitive topics, as I'm sure most of you guys are aware of. I'm gonna try to handle it as delicately as I can, but if you would like to skip this part to avoid triggers, since there probably will be a lot of trigger warnings for this section, feel free to skip here on the screen. Just wanna make sure everybody feels safe and happy watching this video. But yeah, as for everybody else, we can go ahead and start talking about it. So the episode the song appears in, we get a sneak peek into Angel's life and the abuse he faces from Val on a daily basis, who he's in a contract with. Charlie tries to get Angel out of work so he'll spend more time at the hotel, and Val thinks that Angel set this up so that she would fight his battles for him. Because of this, Val decides to beat him. Then Angel, who's scared for Charlie's safety, lashes out at her in order to get her to leave so that he can like protect her from Val. It shows a realistic depiction of how abusers will like isolate their victims from the people who care about them and are trying to help, and it's just a very tough watch. After this scene, we get this song, which shows more of the abuse that Angel's been facing from Val, but it also kind of takes a look into his psyche and how he feels regarding the whole situation. It portrays how he deals with this by putting up the facade of like a glamorous, sexed up celebrity, and he puts up this facade not only to convince everybody around him that he's okay and he's happy, but to try to convince himself as well. There was a comment on my videos too that I think did a really good job of explaining how and why Angel uses his sexually forwardness as a way to kind of cope with the situation. This comment was made by Sabbath Tage. The reason why Angel Dust acts so superly sexually forward after being SA'd is a common reaction for many reasons. Many SA victims hate the idea that they are victims, they try to own their sexuality proudly, and it can make them feel like they have more control over their life. They believe their worth and who they are is tied up in sex. They think it's who they need to be to survive. Coming on to people puts them in the dominant role when they usually are the one being dominated. They've learned that sex has power, so why not use it themselves? Throughout the video, we see him putting on this front, particularly when the camera's on or when he's around Val. Like the very beginning of the music video, you can see his kind of like sad, defeated, broken face, but once the camera comes on, he's back to being happy and sexy. And I think this kind of relates to how he referred to himself as an actor earlier in the episode. I feel like it kind of refers to the fact that he's not just an adult film actor, but also an actor in order to just get through life. He has to put on this sexed up, glamorous act just to make it through the day. We see this again in another scene when he's in the same room as Val. He looks scared and disgusted, but once he takes Val's hand, that persona's back on and he's back to being this, you know, sexy, fun guy who can handle anything. Now I want to talk about the lyrics themselves. So lyrics talk about this poison that Val is feeding him, and I feel like poison refers to a lot here. I feel like one of the first things it might be referring to was like the original deal they made to get Angel into the contract. I assume Val told him that he would be famous and happy and rich and made it sound like a really great deal in order to get Angel to sign it. And then at the time, Angel accepted the poison, signing the deal, not really understanding how bad the consequences would be. And now that Angel is in this contract, he continues to consume more poison. And I feel like poison in this sense is referring to like the sex, the drugs, the alcohol, all the stuff that he uses to help distract himself from this nightmare. It's all stuff that's like helping him kind of cope with it, but also destroying him in a way, making him act like a loose cannon and getting himself into trouble. And I feel like this is kind of backed up by his monologue that he says to Husk. He mentions how if everything breaks him, that at least he won't be Val's favorite toy anymore. So it's almost like he's poisoning himself with these things in order to like distract himself from the nightmare he's in, but also as a way to destroy himself because he thinks that maybe if he succeeds in doing so, his abuser will leave. But regardless, in the end, if he ends up destroying himself and Val leaves him, or if he doesn't destroy himself and he stays under Val's control, either way, it's like a death sentence from a poison. And that's how I interpret the lyrics, and I feel like there's a lot of layers to it. You guys let me know if you have any other interpretations yourself, though. I would love to hear in the comments section because I really like this song and I like analyzing it. This song, though, in this episode really made me fall in love with Angel. I just love him. He really is my favorite character in the show. I think it does such a good job of kind of like showing how he feels about the situation and just kind of showcasing the horrible situation he is in. And of course, on the surface level, the song is just a banger. Like, it is so catchy and fun to just jam out to. So with all of that considered, this is one of my favorites. I've listened to it a lot, like I said, because it is a banger, but also I feel like it is just so important to the show. It definitely was the one that got the biggest like emotional reaction out of me. Next up is Loser Baby. This one's a song between Husk and Angel, and it's just like the most wholesome song in the whole show. I love this one. I never thought a song with the lines power bottom at rock bottom could be so wholesome, but here we are. This song too was so necessary at the end of episode 4, dude. I definitely needed something sweet and nice after the first half of the episode. I love how the song subverts your expectations, because when it first started out, I was expecting like, okay, just your regular toxic positivity song. Like, no, Angel, you're not a loser. Come on, man. But then he's just like, nope, you are a loser and a failure and a coward. But hey, I am too. I don't know how many others can relate to this, but for me personally, when I'm at like my lowest and I'm looking for comfort, the absolute last thing I want to hear is, no, you're not a loser. No, your life's not a wreck. It feels so invalidating, you know what I mean? Because to me, it feels like somebody's saying, you're just being dramatic. Things aren't actually that bad. And in turn, that just kind of makes me want to like ruminate on my problems more and like think more about how everything is just like so awful so that I can like convince the other person or myself like, no, I'm not being dramatic feeling this way. Like, my life does suck. Everything is horrible right now. So it kind of makes me feel worse. You know what I mean? And I feel like even if you don't have the same reaction as me, I still feel like this sort of toxic positivity response is still about as helpful as putting like a band-aid over a bullet hole. Like, maybe it does make some people feel better, but I feel like it's one of those things that probably makes you feel better for like a little bit, but doesn't really like fix the root of the problem. Whereas this song focuses on Husk validating Angel's feelings, being like, your life is a mess. Everything does suck right now, but like, hey, I'm there too. You're not alone. And I feel like that's so much more helpful than just being like, no, everything's okay. I think that's why I like this song so much. I feel like it has a really positive message that's not really like portrayed often enough. We don't always need like a situation to be fixed. We just need somebody to be there for us. Just knowing that you're not alone in the situation and knowing that there's somebody who's there to support you is just both so validating and comforting. It's such a sweet song. The song really feels like receiving like a warm hug. I like it a lot. I think I'm gonna put this one also in certified banger. I love it so much, but like I said, I really want to try to keep my favorites down to like 3 or 4. And although I love the song so much, there is one other song later in the list that is just my absolute favorite from the whole entire series. So I want to save that for the top spot. Next up is Hell's Greatest Dad. And this one is mostly a duet between Alistair and Lucifer, with, you know, kind of Charlie having lines here or there. But then, of course, Mimsy comes in at the final moments to steal the spotlight. Of course, Alistair is great in this song, but I feel like Lucifer really steals the show. He's just so, like, fun and goofy. Like, I swear to God, like, every shot of him is so memeable. Like, I feel like they put so much love into every single shot of him because every single one is just hysterical. He's just such an interesting character, too, because he's literally, like, the most powerful being in hell, at least to my knowledge. But at the same time, he's like so insecure and kind of pitiful. He has to do like all of this just to prove to Charlie that like he deserves to be her father, when first of all, he already is her father. And second of all, he's like literally the most powerful being in hell. Like it should already be obvious that he's like the better choice, just objectively speaking, compared to Alistair. But you can just tell in every frame, he looks so like, he's doing like the Harold smile, I feel like, in some of the frames, like, right, Charlie? Right? You love me, right? The dynamic between Lucifer and Alistair, too, is just so funny. I feel like Lucifer is, like, super powerful and, like, not confident enough in himself. And Alistair, although super powerful, is not nearly as powerful as Lucifer and has, like, so much more confidence that it like almost kind of evens them out. It puts them on the same playing field. My favorite part in the whole song is when Alistair starts really pushing the dad who stepped up narrative, and then Lucifer finally starts to notice and he's like, what? He just seems so like flabbergasted, like, wait, what the hell is going on here? I like thought for a second I had to worry about this guy being Charlie's boyfriend, but now I gotta worry about him being her like stepdad? When does the agony end? We get to see a bit more of Alistair's personality in this song too, which was really fun. I knew from Stayed Gone already that he was a petty bitch, but this song really proved to me that he is truly the pettiest bitch in all of hell. Like he's really just gonna sit here and lie and pretend like he's Charlie's stepfather just to piss off the leader of hell for the sake of his own ego. Truly the pettiest bitch in all of hell. I can't stress that further. And that's why I love him. I think that was partially why I interpreted the scene wrong originally, because I was like, surely Alistair's not that petty. Like the only reason he wouldn't like Lucifer is just because he's stronger than him, but surely he wouldn't go to this length just to piss him off because of that. But that is exactly what happened. Also, another little fun detail that I'm not sure everybody picked up about this song is that there's a Devil Went Down to Georgia reference. Basically in that song, there's some lyrics that state, if you win, you'll get his shiny fiddle made of gold. But if you lose, the devil gets your soul. And you can see Lucifer playing on a shiny gold fiddle in this song. Also, completely off topic, but just something I wanted to say in case there's anybody else who was like me. So Lucifer's voice actor is Jeremy Jordan, and it was driving me crazy when I first heard him in this show. I was like, where is he from? I was like, I know I've listened to this guy before, and it was just like nagging at my mind for the longest time. And then I realized he plays Light Yagami in the Death Note musical concept album. I was like, oh my god, that's where it's from. Once I knew that, it unlocked some memories that I didn't even remember having. I totally forgot that the Death Note musical existed, which honestly, it has some pretty good songs for those of you who aren't familiar with it. There's also the part at the end with Mimsy, which I feel like I should bring up. I can't really tell how I feel about that part, because sometimes when I listen to it, I just skip over it, but then other times I'm also like belting that part. Overall, it's definitely a funny way to like introduce her to the story, but I kind of wish when I was like re-listening to it just on my own, I didn't have to like always hear that part too. I think it's also because Mimsy is just a character I feel extremely indifferent on. I feel like all the other characters in the show I have pretty strong feelings towards, and I feel like in that way, it's like even if I like the character, I don't like the character, it's like, well, the show did a good job of getting me to care about them. But Mimsy, I just feel complete indifference towards. She just kind of feels like she came, she kind of gave some exposition and then left. Hopefully she'll have a bit more of a role in the future. So I think I'm gonna put this one in certified banger. I really love this one. Like all of the other ones here, I listen to it all the time. Moving on, we have More Than Anything, and this one is a duet between Lucifer and Charlie. It's a super duper sweet song. First of all, it kind of brings up the fact that like Lucifer and Charlie are very similar, and it's not really something I had thought about until this song, but you know, Lucifer had the dreams of showing freedom to Earth, and his dreams were crushed. And similarly now, Charlie has dreams to redeem the sinners, and Heaven is obviously going to crush her dreams too, and it makes sense as to why he's so protective of her, because especially he sees himself in her. And I think the song does a good job of establishing that and that connection. So to begin the song, Lucifer is protective and he doesn't really support Charlie in her dreams because he doesn't want her to get crushed by Heaven like he was in the past. And then by the end of the song, he's willing to support her no matter what. This is a very big shift in opinions. And so I think it was a really great call to have Lucifer and Charlie like express their misunderstandings and issues through song. Since like I said before, music can move you in ways that dialogue can't. Like there is a lot of stuff that gets covered, like that big shift in opinion that Lucifer has to like Charlie Charlie's upbringing and how she viewed her father and how it seemed like Lilith kind of got in the way of their relationship. I do still think like ideally it would be better to have a whole episode dedicated to this, because although the song does show these issues, it'd be nice to see a more detailed explanation of everything that happened, and I'm hoping it's something that's dived into more in later seasons. But considering how short this season was, I think they did a good job kind of like fitting this in as tightly as they could and putting like a pretty lasting emotional impact with what little time that they had, because this song is very beloved by the fandom, similarly with, you know, Charlie and Lucifer's father-daughter relationship. And so I would argue that the popularity of both of these kind of proves that this song was a success. I really love too towards the end of the song when they're kind of going back and forth, and how it shows they both really do want the same thing, but they just kind of kept getting misunderstood. I've been dying to find out who you are. I've been waiting, wanting the same thing. Like, it's just so sweet. It's so wholesome. Again, another song that just feels like a big hug. You know what I mean? So I think I'm also gonna place this one in the certified banger category. Like I said, I'm not really a slow song girly, but this song is really beautiful, and I do think it is very necessary for the show. Next up, we have Welcome to Heaven. So I think Happy Day in Hell was kind of like the intro song to establish hell and what it's like. And so similarly, I feel like this is kind of the intro song to establish heaven and what it's like. And the song does do a pretty good job of showing that heaven actually is really great for people like me who are very skeptical of that at first. I do enjoy too the fact that it seems to reference Happy Day in Hell as well, because in the song it states every day in heaven is a happy day. Like, it's just a given here, where I feel like in Charlie's song there's almost kind of like this yearning for a happy day, kind of like if she's able to get heaven behind her plans and if she's able to get the Hazbin Hotel to work, then it'll be a happy day in hell. It feels like there's kind of like a contingency for it, you know what I mean? It feels like it's a real struggle for her, whereas in heaven, it's kind of like just a given that it's gonna be a happy day. I don't dislike this song, but I definitely do think it's one of the weaker ones overall. I think I just get frustrated with the fact that almost the entire song is sang by Saint Peter, which it is funny that it does appear that he's like a Peter the Apostle from the Bible, and I can appreciate that aspect of his character. But other than that, I don't really know anything about him or have much interest in him as a character. I think I would just much rather Emily or Sarah sing this song. I think it would just be fun to see them singing this entire introduction to heaven and kind of showing their personalities and maybe their perspectives on heaven a little bit while they're presenting it. So similar to Happy Day in Hell, we get to see some of the characters' personalities while they're singing it, as well as kind of like getting an idea of what heaven is like. Whereas I feel like with this song, we just kind of see what heaven is like. I don't really think I get much of Peter's personality from the song, and what we've seen in this season, he doesn't really seem to be a very important character. So overall, I think I would just rather had them take that role. I do want to point out one like piece of trivia from this song before I rank it though. One of you guys pointed out in the comment section of my reaction video that Angel's sister can be seen in this song and that his sister is actually in heaven. I was like, that's a really interesting little detail to keep in mind. It does make me think about, you know, if Angel does succeed in becoming redeemed, becoming an angel, like the reunion would be really sweet, and I would love to see that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna put this one in so-so. Like I said, sonically I like it. I just don't feel like it was utilized as well as it could have been. Next up is You Didn't Know. And this is my favorite song in the whole damn show, dude. I love this song. Oh my God, everything about it is just so freaking good. But yeah, there's obviously so much important stuff that happens in this song. In this, we see Emily questioning things. We see Adam and Lute revealing the genocide to heaven. We see Charlie finally snapping and telling off Sarah. We see Emily learn of Sarah's betrayal. And finally, we see Vaggie revealed as an angel to Charlie. Like, so much happens in this song. Like, it's kind of crazy that it all takes place over the span of like 3 minutes and 9 seconds. My favorite part of this song is the use of Hell is Forever. I just love how Adam and Lute bring that song up again as a way to just like crush Charlie's dreams again in court. Because as we see in the first Hell is Forever, they like completely destroy Charlie with that song. She comes in with her little notes, ready to talk about the Hazbin Hotel. They cut her off, they drop all of this on here, and then they kick her out before she even has time for a rebuttal. And even when she does try to talk back a little bit to them in that song, she's very like timid and meek, just like, please, could you guys listen to me, pretty please? And of course, they just totally ignore her and slam the door in her face. And I feel like them bringing this up is kind of like telling Charlie in a way like, remember your place, remember how docile and meek you were back then, and go back to that. You have no chance. So Adam states throughout the first song that the rules are black and white. Sinners had their chance to behave better on earth, but they didn't, and now they burn in hell forever for that. I think this whole line is kind of referring to black and white thinking, which is basically categorizing everything into two separate categories, usually like good and evil. So I feel like the subtext with this line is Adam saying, we're good, you're evil, therefore you burn and get no chance at redemption, and we get to do whatever we want. And that's just how things are. It's black and white. Charlie and Emily rebuttal this by pointing out the hypocrisy that was so blatantly blatantly obvious in episode 1? How is it fair that only your behavior on Earth decides your outcome in the afterlife? Why do angels get to stay in the sky if they've obviously changed for the worse, like Adam? Maybe he was good at first, that's kind of my assumption, but there's no way it's fair that he's staying there now. Because of this, the rules aren't black and white, they're shades of gray, and you guys are hypocrites. It's just such a satisfying moment. It feels even more powerful reusing Hell's Forever's melody too, because like I said before, that was a song that Adam and Lute used to crush Charlie, and now Charlie and Emily using it against them, it just feels like Charlie's like reclaiming her power, you know what I mean? It's like literally taking their words and just shoving it in their face. I just love the implication there. And it's just so satisfying considering how defeated Charlie's been throughout the whole show regarding the extermination. My other favorite thing about this song is how much I feel like it reveals about Sarah. Sarah's a very interesting and like mysterious character, but I feel like we kind of get a lot just from this one frame. Like in this moment, Emily just found out about the extermination and that Sarah was complicit with it, and now she's trying to like justify it to Emily, and you can just see the pain in her eyes while she holds this demented smile. The shot just tells so much. In my opinion, like the pain in her eyes is like herself knowing that like this is wrong deep down, but she's still trying so hard to convince herself and Emily that this is the right thing. And it feels like she's almost like pleading with Emily to understand and to kind of like reaffirm her delusions about this being the right thing. Also, another side note, Lute's voice actress killed it in this performance. I think all of her lines are my favorite. Like the way she says, like, it just sounds so fucking cool. Like, she just put so much like emphasis and personality into all her lines. I really hope she gets more songs next time, because God, she did so good. But yeah, if it's not obvious enough, this is my favorite song in the whole show, and it's going up here because of that. Next up, we have Out for Love. This song is sang by Carmilla to Vaggie. It expands on the connection that was shown in Whatever It Takes. That song showed they both had people that they loved and were willing to do anything for. And in this song, we see Carmilla teaching Vaggie how to use that love as motivation to protect the one that you love successfully. And we see, you know, how this song kind of like positively improves Vaggie's performance when she's fighting the angels in the finale, because in the scene we see Vaggie grow her angel wings back, and those wings allowed her to get the upper hand in her fight with Lute, since she was only able to fly and break the gate, causing the rebel to fall on Lute because of her wings. I love this song. I think it's an absolute bop. I do listen to it a lot, but I do have some criticisms of it. Mainly, I just feel like the music could have been better utilized here. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like Carmilla was like way too easily convinced to divulge her secret in this scene. Like, it almost like took me out of the show when it happened. Like we saw in Whatever It Takes how strongly she felt about the secret and how worried she was and how heavy the burden to carry it was. And like, this was such a big secret that Charlie literally had to make a deal with the devil just to find out about it. But then after like 2 minutes of talking to Vaggie, she's like, yeah, okay. I guess I'll give it to you. I don't know, I just feel like it happened way too fast. I do think Vaggie's argument is pretty good here too. And I do think Carmilla is just like deluding herself, thinking that not sharing her secret is protecting her daughters, when in reality, it likely is just delaying the inevitable, because as Vaggie says, heaven's not gonna stop until they wipe every demon out. So it is a good argument. I just feel like it worked too easily. I think it would have made a lot more sense to have like Vaggie appeal to Carmilla's emotions by using a song to really emphasize her point and to be like, hey, if you really care about your daughters, you'll do what's right, you know, here and now, rather than just delaying it and putting it off. Because like I said, I do feel like it's a good kind of point to use to convince her. It just feels like it happens so fast. I see what they were going for with this though. They used the music here to kind of like fast forward through Vaggie's training and show how she got her angel wings back, which does end up being important later. But I do feel like Vaggie like improving very quickly would have been more believable to me without a song. I feel like it was less believable to me for Carmilla to change her mind so fast than just the fact that, you know, Vaggie, an already trained professional, would, you know, get better once she kind of learned some tips from Carmilla. I don't know if it was really necessary, in my opinion, to have a song here to kind of like fast forward the training and show progress quickly. I think they could have had some like emotional moving dialogue to get her to unlock her wings, and it would have been just as effective in my opinion. But yeah, I can't be too mad because the song is a total bop. Like I said, I do listen to it a lot. I like it a lot. Some of me kind of feels like they came up with the song first and they were like, crap, this doesn't really like progress the plot as well as we were hoping for. Let's just stick it in anyways. Because that's what I would do, honestly. It's a great song and I don't blame them for not wanting to scrap it for like a slower, more kind of like emotional song. But since I do kind of have complaints about how it is presented in the show, I'm gonna put it in great. I do still think it's a really good song, but I think here's a good place for it considering all the criticisms I just mentioned. Next up is Ready for This. And this song shows Charlie using her talents to convince Cannibal Town to work together together with them to fight the angels. And I think the song does a few things here. First of all, it shows Charlie getting her voice back and kind of like gaining her confidence again, since she was just so defeated after episode 6. Even saying in this episode, like, my singing never helps anyways, like, why should I do it? But this song definitely shows her getting a win, and I think it's really nice. Another important thing that I think this shows is how Charlie has a similar power to her mother, Lilith, because in the prologue, Charlie describes Lilith as being able to empower all of demonkind with her voice. And I think we do see Charlie successfully doing that here with Cannibal Town. And I think it's emphasized even more like how powerful of a demon she is with Alistair and Rosie's lines too, singing about how just like her father, she's really powerful. And then we kind of even see more of Alistair's like intentions towards her. Charlie is extremely powerful like her parents, but she's also very kind and naive. And I feel like because of that, she's like a perfect candidate for Alistair to guide from the shadows. I really like how big this song is too, with all of Cannibal Town like singing along. It really kind of gives that feeling of like the climax is coming and we're going into war and there's gonna be so many people like involved in this battle and affected by it. It definitely got me really hyped for the big battle in the next episode. But yeah, I don't really have too much to say about it other than that. I think it's a solid song. I don't think it hits me quite as hard as the certified bangers though, so I'm gonna put it in great. Next up we have More Than Anything, Reprise. This is really a sweet song, especially looking at the lyrics. You can tell that Vaggie is really making sure to quell Charlie's like insecurities and doubts regarding her mission in the hotel. So far she thought that Angel was the best candidate to get redeemed, and even though he met all of the requirements, he was still brutally rejected by Heaven. And now the people that she promised to save are like #1 on Adam and Lute's list to get exterminated. So I knew she was definitely feeling a lot of guilt and fear and just sadness here. And so in order to soothe her, Vaggie tells her like, you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to feel guilty. You've already done so much. So even if Heaven refuses to acknowledge it, she has helped people and she has made a positive impact. And in the end, if it's only me you've saved, is just such an amazing and sweet line. We learn early in the show that Charlie found Vaggie after Lute and Adam brutally ripped off her wings and stabbed her in the eye. And Charlie found her, and it looks like she nursed her back to health and gave her a home. And so she like literally saved Vaggie physically, but also like saved her personally by showing her love and genuine kindness and giving her a place to call home and somebody to fight for. So I feel like here she's saying like, even if you didn't help any of the others, like you've still saved my life. And like, I love you more than anything for that. And like, it's just so sweet. I love them so much. It's so good to have like some sapphic representation that's just like nice and wholesome, you know what I mean? I'm gonna put this one in good. I still really like this song. I don't think it's quite as strong as the ones listed up here though, mostly just because it's so much shorter, but it's still a really solid song and it does a really good job of showing Vaggie and Charlie's relationship and how sweet they are together. And finally, we have the finale. I feel like I jokingly call characters empaths all the time, but this time I actually mean it. Charlie is such a freaking empath, man. She is so sweet. Like literally after defeating Heaven's army, all she cares about is the people whose lives were lost. I feel like most characters in shows would be like happy after a victory like that, but the fact that Charlie's only focusing on the lives lost, it just shows like how sweet and genuine she is, and I feel like this part really does a good job of showing that. I was really glad too that Lucifer was there to cheer her up, especially since I feel like his approval was probably what she wanted like the most, especially considering how unsupportive he was at the beginning. I really love how it reprises Happy Day in Hell too, because at the beginning of the show it was just Charlie working towards this goal alone, trying to get Heaven's approval, trying to get the hotel to work, but now all of her friends are beside her, singing it with her, all working towards the same goal together. It's just really sweet. And when they all together sing, and then tomorrow will be a fucking happy day in hell, it just hits emotionally. It's like, she's got people behind her now supporting her, and that's what my girl needs. I always really like referencing the song at the beginning, at the end of the show too, just because I feel like it kind of gives this like feeling of completion as well. I really love the V's part of this song too. There is such a fun group to have as like kind of a side villain. I keep seeing people compare them to the Plastics online too, and I cannot unsee it after hearing that. I really do hope we get more of them in season 2, especially more of Vox and Alistair's rivalry, which is kind of hinted at a little bit in this song, since you do see that picture that's cut in half and you kind of see them together in a picture, so it seems like they used to be cool at some point. Also, I don't know how I didn't notice this when I was reacting to it, but Vox and Val are like making out at one point in the song, and it is so cursed. It is so cursed, dude. I just have so many questions, like, is Val just licking the TV screen, or does Vox have like an electric electrical tongue that comes out of the TV? And does it like shock Val, you know, when they're kissing? So many questions. I hope this is all answered in season 2. Okay, being serious again though, I want to talk about Alistair's part in the song because I really like that part too. He mentions barely escaping death and almost being killed by a hair. I feel like this kind of had two meanings. So like barely escaping death by a hair, like, you know, barely making it out alive, but also kind of like almost being killed by like a hare, as in like a rabbit, almost referring to Adam as prey. Like, how could I have almost lost to somebody like that who was so beneath me in my eyes? That's kind of how I interpret that line, at least. Also, this one line is so cool. Great Alistair altruist died for his friends. Sorry to disappoint, that is not where this ends. Oh my god, that's the coolest line in this whole song. So of course the finale he fought against Adam to protect the hotel, and although I'm sure he was doing it for like inherently selfish reasons, he did almost die in that battle. And if he would have been remembered as the person who sacrificed himself for his friends. And you can just tell that pisses him off so much. I love his reaction to that and how his nails like dig in to the metal there. Oh, it's so cool. I feel like after this part, you can definitely tell he's gonna be coming into season 2 just full swing. I think he's gonna be even more selfish and cutthroat and evil than before. I don't know if this is like just me being Delulu again, but I feel like Alistair did grow like some sort of fondness for the hotel and its members. He even kind of said as much in that scene with him and Nifty before the battle, but I feel like the fact that he almost died to Adam and almost got remembered in this way, like completely, he's just gonna repress that shit in the next season and not allow himself to grow soft anymore. Like, I feel like here he's almost like catching himself, like turning a little soft, and he's like, gotta nip that in the bud. Go back to being that selfish demon that I know I am. I think we'll definitely learn more about the deal that he's stuck in too, because I feel like that's probably like his main goal right now, is just getting out of that so that he can become the most powerful demon in hell. And I think that'll be his main focus next season. He's not going to allow himself to grow any sort of fondness for the rest of the characters. I think I'm gonna put this one in great. I do like this one a lot. I don't think I like it quite as much as the ones in Favorite and Certified Banger, but I think it's still a really good conclusion to the series. But yeah, this will conclude my video. This is my list. Let me know what you guys think, if you agree or disagree with my opinions. Hopefully I explained everything pretty well. It was really fun going through these songs and kind of like analyzing exactly why I like them, because I feel like sometimes when I'm just like listening to stuff and I really love it, I don't exactly even know why I love it until I really sit down and break down my reasonings. So it was really fun to like, you know, kind of take a deeper look at these. And yeah, I will list this tier maker in the description as well if you guys would like to make your own. And yeah, let me know what other kind of Hazbin Hotel videos you guys might want me to make. It's been a while since I've made discussion videos, but I do enjoy making them. I know I mentioned being interested in making an Alistair character analysis. I just gotta figure out how to like make time for that. I think in the meantime, it would be fun to do some theory videos too. Like I said, I'm really interested in the idea of Adam becoming a sinner and maybe even getting some redemption. So I think it'd be really fun to make a video just kind of talking about that. I know I'm not the first person to think of that theory, but I feel very passionate as to why that's a good idea, and I think it'd be fun to talk about it in a video. But yeah, thanks guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please do be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. And yeah, I will see you guys real soon.